Ted Lieu is not an ordinary politician. That is the first thing you need to understand before a single word of this hearing makes sense. Because what happened in that congressional chamber was not a political argument. It was not a partisan back and forth. It was something much more precise, much more dangerous. It was a military interrogation, and Kash Patel never saw it coming. Lieu served as a JAG officer in the United States Air Force, a military lawyer, someone who spent years in courtrooms where the stakes were not budgets or approval ratings. They were war crimes, espionage, treason. Someone trained to detect deception not by instinct, but by method, by pattern recognition, by watching how people move when they are hiding something, where their eyes go, how their jaw tightens, how their breathing changes when a question gets too close to the truth. Lieu learned those patterns in military courts. He used every one of them in that hearing room. Kash Patel walked in prepared. His legal team was ready. His responses were rehearsed. He had mastered the language of containment, the long, careful sentences that sound like answers without committing to anything. He was ready for the questions everyone else was asking. He was not ready for the way Lieu asked them. The trap was built before Lieu said a single word about Epstein. He started somewhere else entirely. Standard FBI procedural questions. Calm, almost bureaucratic. How does an investigation file work? Who reviews it initially? Who approves escalation? How does the chain of command function? Patel relaxed into the rhythm of it. This felt safe. This felt like the kind of oversight question he could navigate with his eyes closed. He settled in. He answered openly. Important files, Patel explained, come directly to the director's desk for personal review. Lieu nodded slowly, and then he asked one question. Would you classify the Jeffrey Epstein investigation as important? Patel said yes, of course. The Epstein case is important. So the complete file came to your desk. Patel said yes. The trap had already closed. He just didn't know it yet. Because Lieu's next move was surgical. You just told this committee that important files come to your desk. Epstein is important. Did the complete file come to your desk? Yes or no? Patel retreated. Summaries were provided. His office received summaries. Lieu let that word land. The FBI director reads summaries of the largest child sex trafficking case in American history. The inconsistency was now locked in the congressional record. January 15, 2025. The FBI conducted an internal review of the Epstein files. Patel looked surprised. He didn't recall the date. Lieu refreshed his memory. On that date, your office assessed the Epstein files. It determined there were 47 individuals in the high-profile names category. The chamber erupted. 47 names. The first time that number had been spoken publicly in that room. Cameras moved to Patel's face. His color had shifted. This is classified, he said. Lieu was ready for that answer. Congress has oversight authority. Does the report exist documenting 47 high-profile names? Names that directly contradict your testimony that the FBI found nothing? Patel admitted a draft report had been compiled. Yes. Lieu held the document up. FBI seal visible for every camera. 47 high-profile names. 12 politicians. 8 business executives. 6 media figures. Your own agency's analysis director. And yet you told Congress there is nothing of substance in these files. How do 47 names become nothing? Patel retreated immediately. Preliminary draft, not finalized. Lieu cut through it. How many names are in the final report? Silence. It would not be appropriate to share that publicly. Lieu turned to the room. He is not saying he doesn't know. He is saying it is inappropriate to share, which means the number exists, and it contains names too powerful to speak aloud in this chamber. Then came the question about resources, the one that turned the entire hearing into something else. How many agents investigated the Epstein files? Patel estimated around 10, maybe 11. Lieu let that number sit. and then he placed it next to something else. Do you know how many FBI agents investigated the September 11th attacks? Over 7,000. The Oklahoma City bombing? Over 900. And you investigated the largest child sex trafficking network in American history with 10 people. 10. The comparison was not rhetorical, it was structural. It exposed something that no procedural defense could explain away. Because if the Epstein investigation was truly a priority, if it was truly important, as Patel himself had said under oath, then 10 agents was not a resource allocation. It was a decision. A deliberate, calculated decision about how much of the truth the FBI was actually willing to find. Patel tried to reframe it. Quality over quantity, he said. It is about the quality of investigation, not the number of agents. Lieu looked at him. Weren't you the one who only read summaries? He didn't wait for an answer. What did your 10-person team find? Because you said they found nothing. No client list, no accomplices. We couldn't locate a client list meeting prosecutorial standards, Patel said carefully. Lieu seized on the phrasing immediately. Careful. You couldn't find a list. You are not saying there are no clients. Are there client names in these files? Yes or no? Patel's mouth opened, closed. Nothing came out. Lieu asked again, are there client names in the files? Various names are mentioned in different contexts, Patel finally said. Lieu stopped him there. Everyone hear that. Various names are mentioned. That is confirmation. There are names. So who are they? How many? What categories? I cannot provide those details publicly. Lieu's voice carried something close to disbelief. Same pattern every time. There are names, but you can't reveal them. You conducted a review, but you didn't read the complete files. 47 individuals identified, but you found nothing. Director Patel, are you running the FBI or a cover-up operation? The question hung in the air. No one moved. No one spoke. The only sound was the mechanical hum of the C-SPAN cameras recording every second for the permanent record. But Lieu wasn't finished. He changed direction completely. Director, I want to ask you about Jeffrey Epstein's death. Patel's body language shifted instantly. He had prepared for the files, the names, the classification arguments, not for August 2019. Lieu walked through it methodically. The cameras outside Epstein's cell malfunctioned at the exact same time. Both guards fell asleep during the same shift. The automated recording system produced no usable footage. And then the autopsy. Dr. Michael Baden, New York's former chief medical examiner, a man who has supervised over 20,000 autopsies, stated publicly that the injuries found on Epstein's body were far more consistent with homicidal strangulation than suicidal hanging. The FBI's official conclusion, suicide, case closed. Lieu asked Patel whether the FBI had evaluated that assessment. Patel said external expert opinions were noted and added to the investigative file. Lieu didn't move past that. I didn't ask if they were added to a file. I asked if they were evaluated. Those are two completely different things. Patel said the assessment was reviewed and the official finding did not change. Lieu looked at him. So every system designed to protect the most high-profile prisoner in America fails simultaneously. The cameras, the guards, the recordings, and the physical evidence shows injury patterns a former chief medical examiner says are more consistent with murder than suicide. Do you consider all of that coincidence? The investigation followed standard protocols, Patel said. The conclusion was based on the available evidence. Lieu shook his head. The investigation is complete. Just like the Epstein files investigation is complete. Just like the client list research is complete. Everything is always complete, but nothing ever comes out of it. No arrests, no prosecutions, no accountability. Every single investigation into this case ends in the same word, closed. Doesn't that strike you as odd? Doesn't it concern you? And then the final question. The one Lieu said he wanted answered with two words, yes or no. nothing else. Will all of the Epstein files, every document, every photograph, every piece of evidence currently held by the Department of Justice and the FBI, will all of it be released to the public? Yes or no? Patel calculated visibly. You could see him weighing options in real time. There are legal obstacles, he began. Lieu's voice rose for the first time in the entire exchange. Yes or no, Director? Some materials will never be appropriate for public release, Patel said. The chamber went absolutely silent. Lieu let it breathe, and then he spoke quietly. Finally, an honest answer. He says it will never be shared. Never. Not in 10 years, not in 50 years, never. So my question to you, and to everyone watching this hearing, is simple. Why? Who is being protected? Which names are so powerful that the American public will never be allowed to know them? No response. Patel stared straight ahead. More than 250 children were abused in this trafficking network. 250 families destroyed, lives shattered. And you are sitting here under oath telling us that we will never know the full truth about who did this to them. Is this what you call justice, Director? Is this what those victims deserve? Lieu stood. I was a military lawyer for the United States Air Force. I prosecuted war criminals. I interrogated enemy combatants. And the pattern of deception I have witnessed in this chamber today is no different from the patterns I saw in those military courts. The same evasive techniques, the same deflection strategies, the same careful word choices designed to avoid accountability. History will judge you, Director Patel, and those victims will judge you too. The truth always comes out, and when it does, your testimony here today, your evasions, your refusal to answer, your protection of powerful names, all of it will be part of that record. By the time the hearing concluded, every defense Patel had arrived with was gone. Important files come to my desk, dismantled the moment he admitted he had only read summaries. The investigation found nothing, collapsed against the internal report documenting 47 high-profile names. Thorough investigation, measured against 10 agents and found to weigh almost nothing. No client list, undone by his own admission that various names are mentioned in different contexts. And transparency ended with a single word: never. What Lieu demonstrated was not political theater. It was method. He built the trap before Patel knew he was standing in it. He used Patel's own words as the mechanism. And he didn't raise his voice until the very end because he understood something fundamental about how power reveals itself. It doesn't crack under pressure. It cracks under precision. The Epstein files are still classified. The 47 names are still protected. But the word Patel spoke under oath, never, is now part of the permanent congressional record. There are things in those files they will never release, which means there are people in those files they will never expose. Ted Lieu walked in as a congressman. He questioned Kash Patel as a military prosecutor, and he left having extracted the one admission that matters more than any document or any name. The admission that the full truth will, by the FBI's own account, never fully see the light. Never is a very long time, and it is a very loud word to speak under oath.